Okay, good to go? So can everyone hear me? Fantastic. In the back, can I get started? Yes? Fantastic. So, hello everyone, and thank you for this standing room. I hope I'm not going, well, no. I hope I'm going to be respectful of your time and that you're going to learn something today. So you're here for AI Revolution in Marketing. Wow, that is a very wide topic. Let's see what I can fit into this. So, bonjour, I'm Myriam Jessier. As you can tell from the accent, I am uniquely qualified to talk about Revolution. But not just that. So, I work with Semrush, and we're kind of specialized in digital marketing. If you want to know more about me, very easy. You type my first name, Myriam, and what I do, which is SEO, and I'm pretty sure there's one poor soul also named Myriam in this industry that shows up, but that's about it. So, why are we here? We are here because you are facing a paradox. Customers want bespoke marketing. They're complaining that marketing is not that great. It can be done better, but they're offering less data. Ooh, that's not easy. Not only that, but AI changed the way we search as humans. So what does it mean? It means that you're facing a paradox, but also a paradigm shift. And for the entire room, just a moment, what is a paradigm shift? Well, it's basically saying, very politely, that everything we take for granted as marketers, everything that we have built, our common beliefs, values, techniques that we share as a community to help us go forward, is being shifted. Fun times. So today's focus is not a therapy session. We're not going to be complaining as a group. We want to see how we can turn this shift into an opportunity. So first and foremost, when we're talking about AI, most of us in the room, we're not necessarily super focused on AI at large. We're focused on LLMs. You know, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, etc. So I'm here to tell you that LLMs are not the disruptive technology that we think it is, okay? Here's my point. If managers are excited about a technology, it is not necessarily a revolution, okay? Nobody's willing to risk that much. So what is it then? Well, if you look into it, this gentleman, Clayton Christensen, is very interesting. He published a book, The Innovator's Dilemma, saying, hey, most new stuff that comes out there is not a revolution. It is sustaining. What does it mean? It means that it is going to help us do our jobs better. Okay? That's the whole point. So let's calm down about the revolution here. We're going to be fine. Here's why. My key point is AI-enhanced search engines, they have a dirty little secret. They're relying on search. So what they're doing is searching for you. You put in one question, and they are going to be searching for more stuff that you would normally need to do, okay? So if you want to recreate this, you can go onto any LLM and look for the thinking, or you can ask it, hey, how did you select this? What was your process? So as you're seeing here, search. Great. And then you may tell me, oh, I recognize that logo. That's Gemini's Google. Of course they would do this. Yeah, no, it's not just them. You can see there's multiple waves of search and Perplexity as well, depending on the model you choose, maybe one or more, okay? So what I'm politely saying is it's more of the same with one big difference. It means for us as marketers that we have fiercer competition and less clicks. Great. Love it. Yeah, I see someone else feels me. So if I were to sum this up, first you have to deal with the fact that, you're marketing to humans, and humans are unpredictable. But now you also have to consider their context and the machine context. So back in the day, when we were doing marketing, we were like, cool, Let me have a fancy logo. Let me have a solid brand and I can sell anything, drop shipping. But now we're dealing with, okay, our brand is out there, but AI is contextualizing our brand. Right? Okay. But we're shifting from control as marketers of the message to control plus influence. And I know that this has been ongoing for quite a while. But when you consider nowadays that, user-generated content is becoming fuel for what ends up in these overviews, what ends up in these LLM answers, it really signals that paradigm shift. And as marketers, we have a tendency to be very reactive. Who here has been asked, can you forecast this? And you're like, yeah, I can. And that's going to be not really effective, but here's the forecast. We're close. So AI is not able to anticipate trends or brand plus trend affinities before human teams can detect them. And you're dealing with all of this. And you're still expected to bring results. But as I said, competition is fiercer and we have less clicks. So what does it concretely mean? And I highly recommend this book. I will not be saying the title, obviously, because we are in a corporate environment, but I still recommend it. And there's a university course that goes with it. So it means rethinking, okay, what good content means. It means rethinking what knowledge means. Because if we can generate AI slop like this, what does it all mean today? How do we stay relevant? It means rethinking how information is accessed. How do I look for a product? How do I look for a brand? And how do I interact with this content as a customer? So for you, it means rethinking how you work. It means rethinking performance metrics. It means rethinking rankings if you work in SEO like I do. Because being number one doesn't mean what it used to mean. And that's because AI is transforming search from keyword matching to intent-driven conversations. So let's do a quick exercise here. This one is complicated, but most LLMs actually get it. If I'm going to tell you about a movie where most men, okay, that will start going to the gym with a fitness coach will show this actor's picture from this movie, and it's a movie that includes a reference to male breast cancer, but there's also like this group of people that you're not supposed to talk about, even though you're part of the group. Nobody? Okay, LLMs, no, I'm talking about Fight Club. What a weird way to describe it, but it's factual. But LLMs are able to connect these customer dots together and go, that's what you're looking for. Let me serve it to you. So that means that I never said Fight Club in that conversation, but it knows. How do we deal with this? Is the answer more data? Not necessarily. Because LLMs have devoured so much content and they quote unquote learned what topics and brands vibe together. That means that your brand will only show up when it's contextually relevant. More data will not make you more contextually relevant. Okay? Better marketing will. Better understanding of your customers will. So this means that marketers, but more specifically when I talk about my part of the marketing industry, SEOs and marketers need to learn new skills and they need to adapt to profound changes to our workflows. We don't do stuff the way we used to. That doesn't mean we can't get it done. It means we do it differently. We have to adapt. And this, I have to give a bit of context. I navigate between the EU and Canada, Canada being known for a stringent data privacy law. I come from, as you guessed it, like I am French, but I lived in French Canada, the most stringent portion. If somebody can complain about data collection, you can trust and believe it's going to be Quebec, okay? So, with this in mind, am I freaking out over this? Well, yes, I don't want to get fined, okay? I'm super stressed about being fined and being respectful. Yes. But this is not what this talk is about. This is not what this masterclass is about. It's about getting stuff done, so stop freaking out over sample data. Let me explain. I showed up to OMR this year, and I can tell you already something that I know about almost every single conference I've given. The first row will never fill up first. The first row gets filled up last, okay? I know this. Did I run a study on this? Did I collect data on every single attendee? Absolutely not. Did I notice something else specific to OMR? Yes. Pink is the new corporate casual color this year, okay? I have seen so many wonderful pink pantsuits, sweaters like, voilà, mesdames, beautiful. Did I collect this data 100% accurately? No. Did I break any laws by collecting this and telling you about this trend? No, it's called reading the room, okay? Can we do this as brands? Yes. I'm just gonna bring it out. I normally talk about this and I get wild. Like, I go down to 50% sampling. I get down to 10%, which I never recommend. Please don't do this. But this slide is here to remind you, we don't develop vaccines by testing them on 100% of the population, do we? We don't wait for that. So as marketers, when we're stressing out over privacy, over data collection, remember one fundamental difference between most marketing data and actual conversion accounting data. If I'm talking about revenue, that money better be accounted for. I need 100% accuracy or I'm going to get audited. And if I do, better show that the numbers add up. But human behavior is weird, unpredictable, fuzzy. And you're expecting that data to be 100% accurate? And you're upset that it's not? Maybe never was, okay? And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. So what do you do once you stop freaking out over sampled data? Well, you come to a very uncomfortable realization, okay? Tracking stuff is relatively easy. I mean, it's so easy that now that, I don't know if you've heard, but there's discussions about Chrome being sold off, and people are like, we want the data collection machine. We have the Perplexity CEO going, we want to develop our own browser. Yeah, I asked questions about that, and an AI answered me, and I was like, yeah, can you tell me more, because I'm very uncomfortable as a customer. And they're like, oh, please read the CEO statement on x.com. Yeah, no, thank you. I got the ick. I was like, no. Can this agent tell that it's not going to work for me? No, but most marketers would know it's not a good look to say, hey, x.com, go read it. Okay, so having the foresight to know what you're going to get from the data you're tracking instead of saying, I'm losing the data, is very important. I want everyone in the room, if you take one thing from this, focus on the data you do have instead of freaking out over the data you don't have, okay? Because you can always go in the right direction. Let me take you back. Do you think I would change my mind if I was dealing with sample data and had to make recommendations? Still goes in the same direction. So you need to focus on trends. You need to figure out the direction you're going in, because having more data will not magically show you the way. So ultimately, please, change the conversation, not the data. Remember, we're in marketing. The message is what we specialize in, right? So instead of being asked why the numbers don't add up, change the conversation. How do you do that concretely? Well, you need to capture and analyze data to be relevant in specific customer context, okay? So I'm gonna go into detail regarding this, but you've been seeing a bit of a shadow in my slides here. It keeps following us. What do I talk about when I say capture and analyze data? Well, maybe you have more access to brand data. Or maybe your company is better with behavioral tracking. Maybe you're like me and you're very much on the search and traffic end. Maybe it's social. Or maybe you do it all. At the end of the day, once again, focus on the data you do have in order to be able to analyze this and be relevant. Because, and now I'm going to backtrack a bit, remember, at the end of the day, when we're talking about LLMs, no relevance equals no mention. You can have more data, you're still not necessarily going to show up. So, let me take you back, okay? You can replace my flavor of marketing, which is SEO, and make this your own. Crystal Carter is a marketer I absolutely adore. She specialized in telling people, hey, here are the KPIs you want to measure now when you're dealing with AI to really understand the impact. And for me, we're SEOs. We built the internet. I mean, specifically, I know we can blame most marketers, but like, I own it, okay? We helped ruin the internet. Come on, with all of our content that's optimized for algorithms. We showed the way on this. We need to fix it too. We can do anything. So if we can do anything, what do we do? I'm here to talk to you about context engineering. And I did not come up with this. Oh, apologies, sir. Go right ahead. Maybe. Okay. So I cite my sources. I highly recommend you read this article. Context engineering is a voluntary thing, an intentful thing that you do to build an environment that will activate AI to go, hey, this is the brand we should be talking about. This is the brand that's relevant. This is the product you want when you talk to me. So this means that you have to go from keywords to context. And what are the key questions? Number one, is it relevant? Should I even be showing up? Because whenever I talk to people that we want to be number one in this, I'm like, but should you be? Really? What are you going to do with this once people arrive? And this is something that I explain and have been explaining for more than a decade and a half. Okay, I will bring the people to you. And then they end up on your platform. They end up on your site. They end up on something you own online, and they're disappointed. It's going to be much harder to bring them back. Authority signals. Is there anything about your brand, anything that, AI can grab onto to figure out, are you an expert in this? Are you the best in this? Are you credible? Do I even believe this? And I don't know if you've had this moment, because I have had this moment during the pandemic 5 years ago. I ordered $200 worth of hot sauce from a website. No. The pandemic was weird, okay? Everyone was making sourdough bread. I had to have hot sauce. And I looked at my partner. I was like, either my credit card is going to get frauded or I'm going to have amazing hot sauce. But I can't tell. That's not a good feeling to have, okay? So I could tell based on the writing that this was probably one guy in his basement lovingly writing every product listing. But I was worried. So you need to figure out what makes you credible in the eyes of people that pay attention to you. With this audience, I know that my credibility is saying you can Google my first name plus my job and you'll find me. As an SEO, do I know how this game is played? Yeah, that's not the one thing I would look at. So you have to keep in mind the context when we talk about authority signals. Intentional framing. This one you don't have control over. You can influence maybe, but you don't have control over. How is it that me, as a human, talking to an LLM, okay, how am I going to phrase my sentences in a way that will create a narrative where the LLM will go, oh, I should be Googling this, or I should be looking on the web for this information. You've seen, I've shown you in the beginning, the searching it did based off of one question. It was like, okay, let me Google 5 different things. This is important because this is intentional framing. When I ask a question, I have an expectation in the back of my mind. There's something going on, and the machine is trying to figure it out. That speaker is doing great. Okay, so last but not least, what is the brand affinity with trends, domains, and products? Am I cool? Do I make sense? That's not always the case. Here's a concrete example of this. These are 3 different brands that are competitors. They want the same market share. They want the same customer segments. They do not resonate the same way, okay? So you may think watching the competition is enough. No, please go deeper with the data you already have, okay? You should be able to pinpoint, are you stronger than the competition in certain areas that trigger that last, okay, this is the brand I gotta buy. This is the product I gotta buy. And if you don't know how to do this, obviously, there's a lot of companies that can help you with this, including Semrush. But I'm confident you can do this. You have enough data. You have enough expertise. Now, I have to take a little moment because I'm very worried. You know how we're talking about privacy first? Can we talk about company privacy? Because I don't know about you, but I get stressed out. Now I have alerts where it's like all the C-level people in the company, I track their names, plus rumor, plus leak, plus memo, and other keywords, because you know that one person up high can destroy your marketing efforts with one sentence, okay? This is important. You need to be monitoring the privacy of your brand as well. What ends up in LLMs? What ends up baked into the model where you can't scrub that stuff off? You can't bury it. It will keep popping up. So check your brand keywords, but also let's take it one step further. Brand proxy keywords. You know how you talk about yourself. Do you know how other people talk about you? No? Because that's important. We now have algo speak. People know this. They use coded language to refer to companies. So ultimately, in a privacy-first world, focus on metrics that align with your company's value and goals. Focus on what you've got. What do you have? You've got search. We know how people search, you can access that data. You've got traffic. What do people do once they actually end up there? Behavior, social, brand. And behavior, you're like, okay, but I still want to be kind of creepy and like look over people. How about you have brand surveys, okay? I don't know about you, but I would find it very awkward if I got a puppy and a brand knocked on my door, dropped something in my mail going, hey, here's a discount for the puppy you never told me you had. You like the puppy? No. I have to be open. I have to actively like want something or wonder, hey, I want to onboard into this. So you can use all of these elements to improve your marketing without having the fear of dealing with legislation that keeps on shifting. Not only that, but you know how I told you about like sample data and trends? Make it the LLM's problem to respect the law. They're very good at surfacing trends. Focus on the trends. And keep in mind, most of us will not start talking to our moms or our neighbors about stuff. We now have democratized search to the point that almost everything has a search bar. Okay? So yes, that search data is very important. But your traffic quality, this is something that you don't need to wonder about. You have access to this information. You know how people react. And when it comes to behavior, if you don't know what's broken, you can't fix it. More data, or the current data that you have that may go away, were you using it to fix that? Really? All of it? Not sure. And social, as you can see from the skinny jeans that are very useful to fit into boots, I am not that demographic, but we really care about social media now. We're like, okay, present, pitch your product to me. And for brand is something I'm going to talk about in a minute. It's very, very important, okay? Brand is a shortcut, a mental shortcut in people's heads. When I have to make a choice, I may research some stuff, or for most stuff, I'm already gonna know, oh, I have a brand for this, maybe they do that, or I know they do that. So sometimes it's a starting point. We know this because Amazon, most of us are gonna go, oh, I need to buy this thing, I can't think of a store around my house that sells it, Amazon. This is what you should be triggering in people. And this, you absolutely can do as a marketer. So Semrush Enterprise centralizes the data from these 5 key marketing touch points in one platform, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? So I see a few photos. Hang on, I'm game show host pose. Let's do this. We good? No double chin? Fantastic. So what I want you to do is to engage your team to understand what that AI visibility is about. Do you need more data with this, or do you just need a different way to think about the data? Probably a different way. So we know that we're losing clicks, but do we get more visibility? Yeah, so how do we think about it? How do we think about the moments, the context, when we show up, or when we should be showing up, and how we show up? So where are your referrals coming from? What's going on with the behavior? But it also means that maybe you need to track new metrics beyond your traditional KPIs. So like I said, at Semrush, we're genuinely thinking about this, and we developed different metrics. So for example, one of my favorites, you can tell I'm biased. Search queue for me is, oh, your SEO efforts, they're good. You're solid. You know what you're doing. But it's not hitting the way it should. It's not bringing the value it should. You've done the work well. You're a good student. But it's not doing it. So we have opted for metrics that reflect core marketing components. Great. I'm not necessarily here to talk about this, though. I'm here to talk about KPIs, period. So let's go. Let's look at more KPIs. So other metrics, if you want to know where you show up. Brand mentions. How many times are you mentioned? The quality of these mentions. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it meh? And that means how regularly are you showing up? The accuracy, the referral traffic, all of this is really well defined by Crystal Carter, someone else that you can look into. There's quite a few tutorials on how to get that data, okay? But I'm going to take you a bit further. Your own metrics. So let me explain. I have a long-time client of mine that I love. They offer rentals in North America. So as you can imagine, it's basically copy-paste the same building 6 times in one project and then do it again in another part of town. Okay? These buildings are very popular. What's my metric for this? What's my PPC and SEO metric? I don't have any issues with the stringent laws because we have an indicator. When one building is 75% full, we turn off the PPC ads. That's my metric. But I have another problem, an SEO problem. If that building is very popular and these listings, they're full for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, what do you think happens? Google goes, oh, I'm not indexing this, the product is not available. Well, what if it becomes available? I have a problem now, right? So once I know that we hit the critical 50% threshold, I have some SEO to do. I have to tell Google, we're back on the market, baby. Please index us. You have your own metrics, right? No? Okay, just a second. I'm going to share one of my own personal metrics, not client metrics. I have the cost per wear. What's that? I can buy clothing that can be 1,000 euros. I don't care. I just have to wear it long enough times that it comes down to 3 euros per wear. That way, after that, if there's a hole, I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I can donate it. Mary Kondo, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Goodbye. So what are your metrics for your own company that don't come from Meta, that don't come from Google, that don't come from your email marketing software, but they make sense to you? And that you can develop with the data you already have. So can we please start thinking about this and tracking what actually makes an impact for you right now? Even if the law changes, you still have this. And I wish I could be here on this stage telling you, well, if you go in this software, you can click this box and it will magically solve all of your problems when it comes to privacy. There's no silver bullet. If there was, we wouldn't be in this room and we wouldn't be marketers. We would just check that box. The solution for us is to do better, to adapt to these changes. Because brands are the solution. They're not the problem. Brands are how you can sort out the cesspool. And I didn't come up with this, okay? I'm just going to point to this. It's the Google CEO back in 2008. They're pretty dedicated to get to that point, okay? We are finally here. Your brand is a semantic anchor. It makes sense. It also regroups a set of performance KPIs that indicate you're doing well. So, with Revolut Bank, trending queries, so that data we have access to, okay? They show that folks inquire about, can I trust it? Is it legit? Does it actually work? Ooh, that's a tall order to fulfill. How do you measure that? Well, your brand, it's not what you declare. It's what AI infers from your digital footprint. Remember when I said be very careful about what the CEO is out there saying about the new product that's going to launch? Remember when I said, hey, we should be monitoring brand plus leak, brand plus rumor? These things are very, very important. And global brands, some of them don't even care about AI. Some of them don't even care about Google search results. You know why? Because they've been around so long that they're like, we are the reference point. So if you're not one of these brands, you have work to do. And if you're one of these brands, you've got work to do, and I'm going to show you why. How do you think about your key marketing asset, the one that any law cannot alter because it's yours? Well, with a quadrant, okay? First, you have your known brand, what you say about yourself. So those are your logos, your taglines. All of this is an anchor that will influence your relevance when someone searches for stuff. And what can you do? Make sure that machines are able to read them properly. And I do mean properly. I do mean like image vision, but also understanding your tone, understanding what you're about, your messaging, etc. Then there's stuff that people say about your brand. That's your latent brand. That's the stuff that's out there. And what can you do when it comes to data? Oops. You can track sentiment clusters. You can do trend affinities. Hey, if we're talking about, the heuristics I showed, like where are we positioned? Do we have reputational risks? This needs to be tracked. Because if you don't control this, AI may misinterpret what your brand is about, what you want to do. But there's also the shadow brand. KFC's secret formula? Yeah, sure. Oh, Harvard didn't like me a few years ago because their entire playbook was available as a PDF in search results. And they're like, how did you get this? I'm like, the how is not the question. I have more questions now. Do you want to become a customer? So it worked for my company, FYI. So my job is to find a lot of weird stuff online. Well, one of the jobs I get hired for. So can you imagine if an internal document gets leaked and ends up training AI models? That is going to haunt you forever. Well, forever. Trademark needs to be defined depending, yeah? But you see how this can shape the future AI narratives about your brand. So monitor that stuff. That's data you can collect that makes sense, okay? And this will impact brand perception. So last but not least, the AI narrated brand. AI is going to take all of these bits and pieces, all of the stuff you thought you buried in legal notes. Side note, one of the behaviors I find super weird about LLMs, they end up going on privacy policy and like legal pages on a website a lot more than search engines. Like I find this very interesting. So if you're thinking you're going to bury that data, think again. So this means that since they're basing their narratives on behavioral residue, it may create some stuff you didn't expect. It may associate you with stuff you didn't expect. This can be good, this can be bad. I don't care. I want you to act on it. Take a direction. More data is not going to help you take a direction here, okay? The data you already have is good enough. So analyze where and how your brand is showing up. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to influence this. You don't control it. So, as I promised, Revolution, yes, but Hermès has been around. So, for most of the folks in the room, you may not know what Hermès is, okay? But I'm pretty sure, if I'm targeting the audience right, your female partner may know, okay? And how? Well, let's talk about it. They have distinctive design as training data. Hermès has iconic design elements like the Birkin bag. If you don't know what the Birkin bag is, any trip on any social media will tell you, trust me, it is a status symbol. Cultural relevance becomes context, okay? So they are highly recognized. They're quoted. Street style photography talks about it. Apparently, there's twins online. I discovered this, that they're nicknamed the Birkin twins because they talk about what they do in London with their Birkin bag. So that type of brand, distinctive design as training data, that's their known brand. They have control over this. The latent brand, ooh, they've got a handle on it. They influence it, but they don't control it. But it goes deeper than that. They actually understand something most brands don't. They use AI and specialists, experts in bag designs to actually develop internal guidelines that they make available to humans and LLMs on how to spot a fake. Well, they're training the machine to recognize the premium experience. Cool. So that's their shadow brand. They're influencing this. So let's take another example of data you already have. What if you're the CEO of Target and people have you noticed in America there's boycotts going on as well, not just in Europe? No? Okay, let me tell you a bit. They decided, oh, you know what? Trump is onto something, diversity, equity, inclusion. No, we're not doing this anymore. And people are like, oh, you're not? We're not shopping here anymore. If the CEO goes on in public, on TV, on social media to say, no, but we're doing it again, please come back. Do you think that's going to be well received? No, we know you're fake. We know you don't mean it. But what if you're feeding the data out there and gets picked up? If the signal is strong enough for LLMs, AI overviews to go, well, actually, despite this rumor, this is actually going on, and here's the data, here's the sources. You can influence this. And AI generates new associations beyond the brand's control. New trends, emerging trend affinities, they get tied into stuff. If you don't believe me, fine. Chanel does it. So if you don't know Chanel, I can go. I have questions for you if you don't know Chanel. So they have a new e-logo because they know that people keep faking their stuff. What's the #1 keyword when you're a beauty brand? Your brand or product plus dupe. People want the cheaper version that works. So now they're fighting this with an e-logo. But they're also actively using tools like Semrush. I don't know what they're using officially, okay? But they're monitoring sites and they go after websites that are selling fakes. They're very active, going, duh, 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 duh. Not on our watch, you are not poisoning the well. And they're going as far as placing microchips inside many products. They use NFTs and the blockchain. I know, I'm shocked too. But they're using that with great brand storytelling to say, oh, you want to know if your product that you bought is genuine? We've got you covered. We help you make sure of that. We showcase our value. And I'm going to go back here just a moment. I can do this for any brand. This means you can do this for any brand. What I'm trying to tell you is, you take a photo of this. Okay, I'll stand, don't worry. Very strictly this time. But please, go back to the office and do this for your brand. And if you don't know what to put in there, please believe that customers do. Believe that LLMs do as well. So if you're telling me you don't have the right data to fill this in, I'm going to call shenanigans here. Okay? Work with the data you actually have. And this means that you should have the ability to track cross-modal perception gaps in real time. I understand that some of you may be expecting, how do I use data to actually have synthetic data that will create? Yeah, I can also do that talk, but it's not as fundamental as what I'm doing right now. Make sure you're interpreted the right way, because LLMs have the data right now. They're doing it. So here's what we built, and I want to contextualize this for your experience, okay? At the end of the day, what we want to be able to do is track and analyze brand mentions and representations across different solutions. And you saw the beginning of my talk when I was like, hey, they're actually searching. You put one query, and they will have 5 more queries that will look and then give you an answer. That's what our product does as well. We start with one big question, and we'll figure out all the other questions we should be tracking. Why? Because that's also using AI properly, okay? That's us trying to reverse engineer the context. What's going on? When do we show up? How do we show up? Why do we show up? So it's important because you may think that ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, all of these are going to give the same answer. They don't. They don't at all. So you may show up #1 in one, and you may show up at the bottom of the references, or going, if you have extra money, you could consider this one. No. You want to track what's going on, and you want to track where you show up, because the sad truth is, we used to have big, giant corporations. And right now, Google's market share is threatened. It doesn't work the same. So do not put all of your eggs in the same basket. Pay attention. Make sure your brand is perceived the right way, your products, your differentiators. And this is a link, so I'll be sharing the entire deck later, but you can find the solution that works for you. You can go on here, it's a directory. I don't care, just please don't waste time building your own, okay? A lot of people are already doing this. There's more sophisticated stuff out there. Okay, so very quickly, what does it lead us to? The new rules of brand architecture. Close the AI training loop. Quantify what makes your patterns or design algorithmically distinctive. Can you actually do that with the data you have? Yes, you can. No law is going to stand in the way of this, okay? So you need to have something that functions like this. Become a data philanthropist. Share so much data about who you are, what you do. Make it very easy for machines to actually understand what you're about at an atomic level. Oh, how do I do that? Great. You have tools like Semrush AI Overview, but others as well. What I love about this one personally is it tells me people for cars are focused on interior comfort, technology, powertrain, performance, value and ownership. You can push all of these buttons. These are part of your company. You own this. You've got this. Put it out there. Understand how it plays out. So engineer assets that function as both human status symbols, but also machine learning features. Become a familiar brand. Oh, but we want more data to do better marketing. Yeah, okay. But stop pretending that humans are not already giving you the clues. Take that shortcut. Make sure you pay attention to local search trends, cultural nuances, regional language preferences. Sure, AI can help you translate all of this. Translation does not resonate the same way as actually caring, paying attention to your customers in that location. True localization, when you accomplish it, it transcends language to tap into the psychological drivers behind decision making. Done. You don't need extra data to do this. You need maybe a native speaker that will check over the stuff. Enforce semantic precision. Make sure that you detect and assess how AI may misrepresent stuff. You don't want to be called, oh, this brand is the Temu of this industry. No, nobody wants that, okay? So make sure that people understand luxury is not exclusivity. Craftsmanship doesn't always mean expensive. You can be affordable, but be a buy it for life that people love. Like, for me, Victorinox backpacks, I'm sold to them, okay? I love them, and they do not pay me. They should. But key takeaways, because I know we're on a limited run, and you may have questions after this. AI infers brand from your digital footprint. Make sure nothing leaks. Privacy is also brand privacy, please. Focus on the data you do have and develop meaningful metrics, please. And if you're telling me, yeah, but the speaker did not provide any of the meaningful metrics, I know. I don't know you. I don't know your brand. How am I going to be pertinent or relevant? If we work together, sure, but right now I can't. It would be like giving you a horoscope. Which, by the way, I'm working with a publisher. They're totally AI generated. Okay, not going to lie. So global brands become AI's reference point. They don't chase algorithms. They're not here trying to get more data and go, but. No, shine. Now is the time to step up and really explain what you're about. Monitor what the proper term is semantic drift. When AI doesn't get it right, that's called semantic drift. And you need to address these negative brand associations. So for example, Coca-Cola. I told you I'm like Canadian, right? So I got the passport, took me 10 years. Do you think they're very popular right now in Canada? No, they're a symbol for Americana. How are they going to handle that? That's for them to figure out, okay? Not for me. And document your brand differentiators down to an atomic level. Atomic, granular. Why are you different? Because if I'm seeing a product that costs 1,000 euros, clear example, Tower Garden hydroponic. It's a giant thing to grow vegetables in winter. And then I see a dupe for 200 euros on Amazon. It looks exactly the same. Why would I buy the super expensive one? It took me a while. I had to investigate because the other plastic is not food grade. I don't know what I'm eating. But Tower Garden doesn't say that. It just says, we have good plastic. It's this. I would have to Google 4 terms to understand. No. And side note before I finish. Also, lights to grow gardening stuff. You can't, I can't have to train myself to almost become a almost qualified weed farmer just to grow a piece of mint, okay? I don't have to know all of this. You should be telling me we have the right lights to grow your mint, Myriam. Simple. Doesn't require more data. Requires paying more attention. So document this to an atomic level. And we made it to the end. Merci beaucoup for coming here. I know I'm like an evil genie. I fit the brief, but I didn't quite deliver what you expected today, but I trust that I gave value. So I wish I had a silver bullet to tell you, if you push this button, this will happen, but I want you to remember, please focus on the data you have. So does anybody have a question? Because I'm going to be honest, I see maybe 6 people in this room, and that's it. It's very dark. No? Okay. Wait. No? Seriously? Okay. Now, I have a question for you. Can you tell me about your meaningful brand metrics, or are you allowed? Nobody wants to show off data stuff? Oh, darn. Okay, well, I thought somebody was going to help me be a better marketer. Yay! Okay, so
I'm coming.
Can you raise your hand again? I may see. Yes, I see you finally. Hello.
Ooh. Hello there. Hi. My name is Hadil. I'm going to stand up. I cannot hear.
Can you just shout into the microphone?
Yes, of course. Can you hear me, everyone? Okay, my name is Hadil, and I work in a company for logistics, which I own, me and my husband together. It's a small company for 15 employees, and we are into B2B. And it's such a mess and disaster when it comes to marketing, especially in the domain of supply chain. We really run from a matrix to another, to a strategy to another, and trying out so many
So if you're
softwares.
running from strategy to strategy, you're running from tactic to tactic.
Exactly.
So yes. So concretely, when I say, no, actually, finish your question. I'm sorry, I have ADHD. That's why.
It's a mostly generic question when it comes to supply chain in the logistics domain, and how can we do it with AI when we have such a limited information from our customers, because we are into B2B. So it's just only one customer who's doing thousands of transactions through our company. But now we started to lose customers, almost half of the customers, because of the regulations in Germany. And now we're seeking to go for more customers, but we lack really the information because of the diversity of the customers. EU, out of the EU, and now the US is out, so.
So, multiple things. Number one, what I would focus on, so I trust everyone heard the question, but when you're dealing with this type of situation, the first thing I would start with is surveying existing customers, going, not why did you choose us, but why do you continue to do business with us? What is your context? What is happening? But another thing is to actually look at, I know you don't have as much data, but look at the data that you have to go, are there maybe hints that I should be going for a different customer segment? Are things shifting, and should we pay attention and maybe pivot? Because, and now I'm going to get back to old school marketing, but what job do you solve for your customers? Why do they hire you? Yes.
We have our value proposition. We are so digital and paper-free, and at the same time, we're pretty fast and transparent.
So you're fast, and there's no headaches when we deal with you, right?
Exactly. Of course, with the German government, we are dealing with the headache, and they're...
Say that. Start by saying this, and look into all the problems that people have, which you can find on forums. You can actually ask ChatGPT, like, find me the sources where people complain about this. What are the most common complaints? And start addressing these points, going, hey, we know this pain. We solved it for you, okay? And I would focus on wondering, why did they choose me, not out of all the competition, but what's the job that I really solve for them? So I'm going to give an example that is adjacent to your situation, okay? I chose an insurance company last week because I just moved to Denmark, and I have to get insurance for my house. And the first question all the insurers asked me is, what was the policy of the previous owner of the house? And I had one that told me, I can make a phone call and find this out for you. They were more expensive. They solved my problem. I'm like, I'm willing to pay as long as you speak Danish for me. I'm done. I don't want to deal with this. Find those little moments, okay? Ask the right questions with a good brand survey saying, hey, what was the key problem that you were trying to fix that we fixed for you? What's the one thing you appreciate? I promise you that it will not be what you expect. Okay? And that's the type of data you should go after at the end of the day. That micro data that makes you go, okay, I couldn't have found this out from any of the data that Google could offer me or another tool, but my customers know. I just have to ask the right questions. So I hope that this helps. I know it's not a silver bullet, but I invite you to come and speak to me afterwards. I can ask you more questions to give more, well, better answers. But very often, this leads me back to something else. When you're in an unusual situation, AI is not going to help you. It's supposed to find patterns, right? It's supposed to find trends. What if there are no trends to be found because there's basically 5 clients? Turn to your clients. Get that meaningful data, ask the right questions. So I'm still going to use that example because it's super important to me to highlight this. Most of us are very convinced that we have to talk to ourselves, about ourselves, for ourselves, and hopefully the client will get an income. No, it doesn't work. So if you know the milkshake example, that's great, but if not, please stick around just 1 minute. A big company, most likely McDonald's, paid a Harvard consultancy to go in and make their milkshake better. What they found out by going in-store and watching is that milkshakes were not being sold to kids after school. Milkshakes were being sold in the morning at the drive-thru. Because when you go to work in America, you're in a car and you're stuck in traffic for an hour or two and you're miserable. And you have a choice. You can drink coffee. It will be finished quite fast. You will be sad but hyper, hungry with heartburn. You can eat a banana, which conceptually very good, but have you tried eating a banana while driving? Not the best. Chocolate bar, melts in your hand. Or you can have a milkshake because it has the right consistency. It will last throughout the commute, and when you get out, your belly is full, you're full of fat, sugar, you're happy. So ask yourself, what job am I doing for my customers? And that's what I started doing. So I promise this will, well, no, I don't promise. I hope this will help. I have a client, they are a HR software. And they're like, the big American company has $50 million in budget, and we're small, and we're Canadian. I'm like, okay. And after 6 months of hearing about the big American competitor, I went, I have a question for you. Can we forget them? Who do you focus on? And they're like, small and medium businesses. I'm like, okay, who do they focus on? Well, medium and large. You have to actually have experience in HR. I'm like, okay, so you don't target the same people. They're like, no, but we're in the same space. They're a competitor. I'm like, okay, can we go back? If I'm a small or medium company and I actually have an HR, they're like, well, no, actually, you don't always have an HR. I'm like, okay, what do you do then? Like, oh, somebody handles it. I'm like, okay, how do they handle it? Like, oh, they use Excel. I'm like, your competition is an Excel spreadsheet. It is not an American company with $50 million. So can you please develop? And they're like, well, the hardest thing that our tool solves is that it helps monitor everyone's vacation so you can tell who can go on vacation or not. I'm like, oh, that sounds like an Excel nightmare, and I'm an Excel pro, okay? So I'm like, hey, we can rig something up to do this in Excel, pre-made, a template with instructions and going, if this is tiring for you and you don't want to debug it, how about you invest $100 a month, okay? We solved that problem. We focused on that one problem. Guess what? That actually moved way more, and the big American company started advertising on my client's brand name for PPC. So all I'm saying is, please focus on the data you do have and find the job that you're solving for people. If you remove the headache tied to one specific regulation or one specific form that is intensely hard to fill out, focus on that. Explain to people. I'll give another example. If you are working for a nonprofit here in the room, tax returns. If you want donations, create content explaining to people how they're going to be able to deduct this from their taxes. You will get that donation. Solve their problem, not yours. Okay, well, any other question? Oh, yay! Can you shout to me because we're close?
Hello.
Yes?
On?
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Oh yeah, because it's the microphone. How do you think AI will impact affiliate marketing?
I think it's very interesting because I think if affiliate marketing has been denatured quite a lot. So now everyone is saying, okay, I can recommend this to you or recommend that. But you've seen, I've given a shout out to a company, I'm not paid, and I don't have an incentive, but I'm still talking about it. I may have one. Doesn't matter. I have to have shown consistently that I'm an expert in that field, that I'm credible, and that I'm doing this because it's genuinely helpful to me or to others that I know my market. So without credibility, like these signals of credibility and expertise, affiliate marketing is going to suffer. I wish I had a better answer, but I genuinely think that if you don't send these semantic signals that, yes, I'm who I say I am, I'm doing this because it's good, it's not going to work as much. So one example I would say is I've seen creative affiliate marketing that works with AI when it's saying, oh, we don't sell that product in your country. You can become a reseller, but we work on an affiliate model. So you can sell, but you are affiliate, basically, at the end of the day. We still handle it, but you build a website. Basically, please and thank you, give us the credibility in that country. Do the work for us. Anyone else? Yes. I hope to God you can scream because I don't hear it. Everyone else will, just not me.
Okay, so my question is, when you're saying MS is training the model,
Yes.
you're basically saying they're putting out content. So
Yes.
when the next model update happens, that they pick it up. Is that so? Traditional content to train the model in the next update.
What they basically do is, I'm going to get back on stage, but what they do is they are making brand content saying, this is how you spot a fake from a real. So every time they have a new edition of a bag, they will add this information, but stay with me. If they are changing just the color and nothing else, like a special edition, they don't need to because the things they're explaining to spot is not the color. It is the stitching, it is this, it is that. So depending on if it's a new model, yes, they will have to feed more information. But if it's the same, but just slight alterations, then it still holds.
Perfect. Thank you.
One last thing regarding the data, your old brand name. I know you don't care about your old brand name, but AI will remember the old brand name forever. Thank you.